Today, we're going to zero in on the 11 types of people who could potentially hold us back when survival takes first place over everything else. We need to know if these people can either help us avoid problems or if they will actually become the problem. Number 1, the lazy and unwilling. Let's face it, we all know someone who hates a challenge. These are the folks who shy away from hard choices and sacrifices. In a survival situation, that hesitation can be deadly. If things get tough and someone refuses to adapt, it can lead to missed opportunities or even danger. Imagine a situation where you need to ration food or defend yourselves. You need everyone on board, ready to make tough decisions. Building resilience in these folks can be really tough. Why? Because they're comfortable with the way things are and might resist change, even when it's necessary. So what can you do? First, try to understand their perspective. Talk to them about your concerns, but be patient. Don't expect them to turn into Rambo overnight. Instead, focus on small steps. Maybe involve them in basic preparedness tasks, like learning how to purify water or build a fire. As they gain skills and confidence, they'll be more likely to embrace the bigger challenges. But what if, despite your best efforts, they're just not budging? Here's the truth. Survival isn't just about going it alone. It's also about surrounding yourself with people who are willing to work together. If someone consistently refuses to participate in any kind of preparation, it might be best to distance yourself from them in a survival situation. However, that doesn't mean you have to abandon them completely. Perhaps you can connect them with a community support group or resources that can help them develop the skills they need. Remember, the more prepared people there are in your network, the better off everyone will be. Number 2, the panic monster. All right, so we've met the avoid the challenge crew. Now let's talk about their opposites, the panic monsters. These folks lose it when things get even slightly stressful. In a crisis, that kind of meltdown can be contagious and seriously mess things up. Imagine facing a disaster and someone starts freaking out. Suddenly, everyone's on edge, making clear thinking impossible. Being prepared is great, but staying calm under pressure is equally important. Here's why. In a crisis, cool heads prevail. When someone stays calm, they can make rational decisions, assess the situation, and take charge if necessary. On the other hand, panic clouds judgment and can lead to impulsive actions that put everyone at risk. So, how do we deal with the panic monsters? Well, helping them develop coping mechanisms is key. Teach them relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Practice emergency drills together, but focus on staying calm and making rational decisions. The more they see you staying cool, the more likely they are to follow your lead. Here's another tip. Encourage them to learn basic survival skills. The more confident they feel in their ability to handle things, the less likely they are to lose their cool. Let's say they're worried about finding food. Help them learn how to identify edible plants in your area. Knowledge is power, and in a survival situation, that feeling of empowerment can be a real lifesaver. Number 3, the know-it-all, but not really. Okay, so we've seen how panic can derail a survival situation. Now let's meet someone with a different problem, the always updated but ill-informed. This is the person who claims to be an expert based on everything they've read online. They might have a garage full of gadgets from the latest survival hack video, but when it comes to the real deal, they're missing the essentials. These are people who are prepped based on the coolest online trends. They have all the latest gadgets but haven't learned the basic skills for using them. Maybe they have a fancy water filter, but no clue how to purify water if it breaks. Here's the problem. Relying on misinformation can lead to bad priorities. These type of people might be focused on the wrong things, like stockpiling useless gadgets instead of learning essential skills like finding food or building a fire. So, how do we help people like these turn internet knowledge into real-world skills? Education is key, but it's not about overwhelming them with information. The goal is to guide them towards reliable sources and practical experience. If you're already a prepper, offer to be their mentor. Help them build a solid foundation of knowledge by pointing them toward trustworthy resources like survival manuals, reputable websites, or even wilderness survival courses. Next, encourage them to translate that knowledge into action. Camping trips with a survival focus can be a great way to bridge the gap between theory and practice. This hands-on experience will help them understand the limitations of gadgets and the importance of skills. Remember, the goal is to create an adaptable mindset. Skills are way more valuable than fancy gear in a real survival situation. With practical experience and reliable information, they will be able to make informed decisions and prioritize effectively when things get tough. Number 4, the head in the sand prepper, also known as the don't know, don't care type. This is the person who simply refuses to acknowledge the possibility of a crisis. Imagine a situation where things go haywire, and one of the head in the sand guys is completely caught off guard. They have no supplies and no clue about how to survive on their own. In a crisis, every minute counts. They might find themselves scrambling at the last minute to find food, water, and other essentials. The problem? Everything will be scarce, putting them at a huge disadvantage. So, how do we help people like these who refuse to acknowledge the need for preparedness? Let's face it, just handing them a list of supplies won't cut it. The first step is a major mindset shift. They need to understand why being prepared is crucial for survival. This means educating them on some basic survival skills. Start with the essentials: water purification, identifying safe food sources, and even basic first aid. There are tons of online resources that can be lifesavers in this situation. Think of them as survival cheat sheets. Here's a tip: don't overwhelm them with information overload. Start small and focus on the most critical skills first. As their knowledge and confidence grow, you can gradually introduce more advanced topics like building a shelter, finding shelter, signaling for help, and self-defense. Remember, the goal is to get them on board with the idea of preparedness. Show them that taking some basic steps can make a huge difference in a crisis situation. Let them know that even a small amount of preparation can mean the difference between survival and disaster. You can also share stories of real-life survival situations where preparedness saved the day. This can help them see the practical benefits of being prepared. Number 5, the lone wolf. This is the person who believes they can handle anything on their own. No help needed. This is someone who sees themselves as a total survivor. Someone who thinks going solo in a crisis is the ultimate display of toughness. The problem? In real life, being a lone wolf is a recipe for trouble. Sure, being self-sufficient is important, but there's a big difference between being independent and being isolated. When you're on your own, you have to handle everything. Finding food, building shelter, keeping watch at night. It's physically and mentally draining. Imagine foraging for food all day, then having to set traps, build a fire, and keep an eye out for danger, all by yourself. Exhaustion can set in quickly, making you more vulnerable to accidents and mistakes. Here's the real danger. Even a minor injury can become life-threatening when you're alone. Think about it. A simple sprain that your buddy could help you treat might leave you completely helpless on your own. You could be unable to hunt, gather food, or even defend yourself. So, how do we help the lone wolf reconsider their go-it-alone strategy? The key is to break through that lone wolf mentality and show them the strength in numbers. Being part of a group isn't just about sharing the workload of survival tasks. It's also about the invaluable support system a group provides. Having people to talk to, share burdens with, and boost your morale can make a huge difference in a stressful situation. Imagine facing a crisis knowing you have a team to rely on, people who can watch your back and help you shoulder the challenges. Here's a great option. Encourage the lone wolf to join or even form a local group with shared survival interests. This can be a game changer. Community groups offer a wealth of knowledge, skills, and a sense of belonging. These connections are like a safety net, providing not just emotional support, but also a shared pool of resources and skills. Number 6, the non-adaptable one-trick pony. This is the person who has one plan, one strategy, and sticks to it no matter what. This is someone who prides themselves on being prepared. They've got a detailed survival plan and all the gear they need to execute it. Here's the problem. In a real crisis, things rarely go according to plan. The world throws curveballs, and being too rigid can be a major disadvantage. Sure, having a plan is crucial, but survival is all about being adaptable. When things take an unexpected turn, these types of people might struggle to adjust, potentially leading to bad decisions based on their preconceived ideas. So, how do we help them loosen up and embrace flexibility? The key is to foster adaptability and resourcefulness. There are a couple of ways to do that. Interactive scenarios. Role-playing exercises can be a great way to practice. Set up situations where their plan gets disrupted. Force them to think on their feet and come up with new solutions. This will help them understand the importance of improvisation and problem-solving in a crisis. Diverse training. Encourage them to branch out from their comfort zone. Don't limit their training to just one type of survival scenario. Consider taking them on an urban evasion course or learning wilderness survival skills. The broader their skill set, the better equipped they'll be to handle the unexpected. Embrace curiosity. Encourage them to be constantly learning and expanding their knowledge. Survival isn't just about having a plan, it's about being resourceful and open to new ideas. This way, if Plan A falls through, they'll have a whole alphabet of backup plans ready to go. Number 7. The overly dependent techie. This is the person who relies on technology for everything, from finding their way around to ordering dinner. While technology is amazing, in a crisis situation where the grid goes down, those fancy gadgets become useless bricks. This is someone who depends on their smartphone for everything: navigation, communication, and even food delivery. In a survival situation, that heavy reliance on technology could be a major weakness. Without those tools, basic survival skills like reading a map, starting a fire, or finding food suddenly become overwhelming challenges. So, how do we help the gadget guru rediscover their inner self-sufficiency? The key is to reintroduce them to the basics. There are a few ways to do that. Start by showing them low-tech alternatives for everyday tasks. Teach them how to use a compass and map instead of GPS, how to build a fire without a lighter, or how to identify edible plants in their area. These basic skills can rebuild the foundation that's been lost to the convenience of technology. Also, encourage them to participate in workshops or training sessions that focus on manual skills like navigation, firecraft, and foraging. This hands-on experience can bridge the gap between their reliance on tech and self-sufficiency. Another great way would be to challenge them to unplug. Plan weekend getaways where technology takes a back seat. Encourage them to connect with nature, learn traditional methods of survival, and discover the comfort of the analog world. By gradually immersing them in a low-tech environment, you can help them appreciate the balance between using technology and not letting it become a crutch. Learning to rely on themselves will make them more resilient when faced with situations that demand a return to the basics. Number 8. Oversharer. This is the person who can't resist bragging about their prepper stash or survival plans to everyone they meet. While sharing knowledge can be a good thing, in a crisis situation, it can also put a target on your back. They are someone who is very proud of their well-stocked survival supplies. They love showing them off on social media and talking about them with anyone who will listen. Here's the problem. When everyone knows you have a lot of resources, it can attract unwanted attention. In a desperate situation, people might do desperate things. Before they know it, strangers will be knocking on their doors, looking for a handout. The oversharing put not just the supplies at risk, but also their safety. So how do we help the oversharer cultivate a more cautious approach? Encourage them to learn about online privacy settings and how to keep their prepping activities discreet. There's no need to advertise your prepper status to the whole world. Consider using pseudonyms online and avoiding sharing details about your location or home setup. Also, discretion is key. Talk about the importance of quiet preparation. Spreading the word about your plans can create unnecessary risks. Focus on building your supplies and skills under the radar. Let your preparedness speak for itself when the time comes. Have them consider attending workshops or online courses that cover security measures for preppers. This can involve everything from physical security practices like home defense to digital security like online anonymity. Learning how to secure your property and protect your online privacy is crucial for keeping your supplies and yourself safe. Number 9. The chronically ill. These are people who rely on regular medication and medical attention to manage their health. In a normal situation, this is part of their routine. But in a crisis situation, where pharmacies are closed and doctors are unavailable, things can get very serious. Chronic conditions can quickly worsen without proper management, leading to complications or even life-threatening situations. Imagine a loved one who manages a chronic health condition. They rely on medication to keep things under control. In a survival scenario, their situation becomes a top priority. So, how can we help them prepare for a crisis and navigate the challenges it might bring? Of course, we can't leave them behind, so in these cases, preparation is key. Encourage them to stockpile a significant amount of their necessary medications. Talk to their doctor about getting extended prescriptions or alternative solutions for long-term storage. Also, learning basic first aid and wound care can be a lifesaver. Encourage them to take classes or workshops that can equip them with the knowledge to handle minor injuries and manage their condition in the absence of a doctor. Teach them proper storage techniques to ensure their medications remain effective and safe for use. This might involve understanding light sensitivity, proper temperature control, and expiration dates. It doesn't have to be just medication. Exploring alternative therapies for pain management or symptom relief can be beneficial. This could involve herbal remedies, physical therapy techniques, or stress reduction methods. While not a replacement for medication, these can offer additional support. Building a supportive network of people who understand their needs is crucial. This could be a group of friends, family members, or even online communities focused on chronic illness management. Having access to resources and people who can offer help or advice in a crisis can be a lifesaver. By taking these steps, those with chronic illnesses can increase their confidence and ability to navigate a crisis situation. Remember, the goal is to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best. Number 10, the overly optimistic. This is the person who sees the world through rose-colored glasses, always believing things will work out for the best, even when the signs are pointing in the other direction. Let's face it, optimism is a great quality. Having a positive attitude can be incredibly helpful. But in a crisis situation, excessive optimism can be dangerous. Underestimating the seriousness of what's happening can lead people to delay crucial preparations or take unnecessary risks. They might mistake hope for a strategy, thinking positive thoughts is enough. Unfortunately, this approach can have disastrous consequences when reality hits. So, how do we help the overly optimistic find a balance between optimism and realism? There are a few ways we can go about this. Learning from history. Encourage them to research past crises and how communities have responded. Understanding the historical impacts of similar situations can be an eye-opener, demonstrating the importance of preparedness without resorting to fear-mongering. Scenario planning. Scenario planning is a great way to explore different possibilities. Walk them through both best-case and worst-case scenarios in a crisis situation. This will help them understand the value of being prepared for anything life throws their way. Grounded optimism. The goal is to cultivate a sense of optimism that's grounded in reality. Help them see that being prepared doesn't mean giving up hope. It means taking steps to ensure they can handle whatever comes their way. This allows them to maintain their positive outlook while being ready to face challenges. By balancing optimism with a healthy dose of realism, the overly optimistic can transform their optimism into a strength, not a weakness. A grounded outlook will allow them to make effective plans, take action, and navigate uncertainty with confidence. Remember, it's all about finding that sweet spot, staying hopeful while being prepared for anything. Number 11, the indecisive. This is the person who struggles to make decisions, especially under pressure. In everyday life, this might mean hesitating over what to eat for dinner, but in a survival situation, indecisiveness can be deadly. Quick and decisive action can often mean the difference between safety and danger. For this, let me give an example of my wife, Amelia. She's great, but she has a hard time making up her mind, especially when things get stressful. In a crisis situation, that indecisiveness could be a major problem. Hesitating could lead to missed opportunities or wasted time, putting her safety at risk, something I always worry about. So, how can we help the indecisive overcome their indecisiveness? There are a couple of tips I use with Amelia. Remember, practice makes perfect. Encourage them to practice making small decisions quickly in their everyday life. This could be anything from choosing a movie to watch to picking a route home from work. The more they practice, the more comfortable they'll become making choices under pressure. Another great tip I use is that I set limits. Help them learn to set time limits for making decisions. In a crisis, there might not always be time for endless deliberation. Encourage them to weigh their options quickly and choose a course of action, even if it's not perfect. They can always adapt if needed. Also, help them understand that mistakes are inevitable when making quick decisions, but they can also be learning experiences. Encourage them to analyze their choices after the fact, learn from their mistakes, and move forward with more confidence. By practicing these tips, the indecisive types can transform into a decisive force when it matters most. Learning to make choices quickly and confidently will be a valuable asset in a crisis situation. These are the worst people to be when things go south. But what are the worst places to be when disaster strikes? Click the video on screen now to learn more about the 10 worst U.S. states to be in when the power grid fails.